The study session of May 18th, 2015 for the Lakewood City Council. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Murphy?
Here.
Jockey?
Here.
Kellen?
Here.
Johnson?
Here.
Wickman? Paul? Harrison?
Here.
Quinn?
Here.
Coop?
Here.
Faraway?
Here.
Roybal?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. I apologize to anyone who was watching live tonight. We started about 4 minutes late due to some technical difficulties, but to make up for that, we're going to finish early because we have a very light agenda tonight. We actually have just one item, and in a moment, I'm going to call up our city attorney, Tim Cox, or do it from your place there to talk about city council policies and procedures. And I would just say for council tonight, this is. This is the starting point of a discussion, sort of a very broad overview, and our goal is obviously to get some, as you'll hear, to get some consolidation and maybe some more precision in place by the time we have elections in November. And the way we'll go about doing that, if indeed we need to make some changes, is we'll have one or two workshops during the summer for everybody to give their input. But tonight's meant to be just sort of a high-level introduction. So with that, Tim, please come forward. Tell us where we're at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. Visual aids here. Don't let this scare you. It's for illustration purposes only. Yeah, this is a project, City Council Policies and Procedures, that's been sort of lingering in the background. We tried to figure out exactly what to do with it, how to make the most of the manual that you all would have received at one point in time or another. And looking forward, how to tie it in and make it the most effective we can for the fairly substantial change that we're going to see on this council in a few months. We'll have some new members who will be in need of information, and we want to make that as user-friendly as possible. As you all remember, I'm sure, when you're new to the elected official world, council members, you come in with a lot of questions. Where do I find information about the things I'm going to vote on, and how do I go about doing that, and what the heck was I thinking? There's a question you might have asked yourself once or twice. As you know, too, we've got a pretty extensive orientation program that's developed over the last couple of elections, including presentations by all the departments and a number of other different topics. And I think that's a productive exercise to get everybody indoctrinated to the public world. And those materials that are used in the orientation session are collected in an orientation binder. Looks very much like this. Now, you'll also, as new elected officials, remember receiving help from CML, the Colorado Municipal League. They have a lot of resources for new officials, programs, materials. You may remember getting things like the elected official starter kit from CML, or you might even have this chestnut, the handbook for municipal elected officials, that covers a lot of ground for new electeds. Those of you who are especially ambitious probably wanted to go right to the source to get information from statutes. I did not bring the red books down, but the statutes, the code, my well-worn copy of the municipal code, and of course the city charter, our municipal constitution, if you will. And then there's the policies and procedures manual, which is what we're here to talk about tonight. Redundancy in any business can be a good thing. It's good to have multiple places to go to find information that you know you're going to need. If it's only contained in one place and you can't find that place, you're a little bit out of luck. But I'd ask you to consider this with these materials that we've laid out in front of you. Suppose you wanted to read something that you knew was in the charter or believed was in the charter. Well, you could go to the charter. You could go to the orientation book. Charter's in there. You could go to the policies and procedures manual that we have. The charter's in there. You could go to the website. I think you might have even received a flash drive during orientation with some of these materials on them. So lots of places to find information and probably too much duplication. We have a lot of good resources available to you, and we're not suggesting that we have to start over and and redo everything. But the Policies and Procedures Manual is something that should be a little bit different. It shouldn't be simply a guide to topics that you may come across in your elected role. It should be a collection of policies that govern the actions of this body. So, the manual that we've had has evolved over the years, and it has a lot of good information in it. Doesn't have a lot of policies in it, and it is a Policies and Procedures Manual. I think what's happened is questions arose about things like meeting procedures and separation of powers and other concepts that are familiar from your high school civics days but may not have been very fresh when you took office. And those were incorporated into sort of narratives, articles, guides that found their way into the Policies and Procedures Manual. But again, we're not really policies. Moreover, as the Policies and Procedures Manual evolved into something else, the contents that you'll find in there also found their way into the orientation book because there were some good materials for orientation. You heard about them. You got them in the binder. But if you've ever looked, you'll see a lot of repetition between the two. As a matter of fact, just for example, there's an article on the council-manager form of government, the charter itself, separation of powers, the section on meetings, the section on committees, things like travel procedures. Those are verbatim the same in the policy manual as they are in the orientation binder. And I would suggest that's not really very efficient. So you get too much overlap between and among the various resources and no real good source for the city's policies and procedures. So looking ahead now, we thought with the extensive turnover that's going to result in the November election that it was a good time to take the Policies and Procedures Manual and make it what it's supposed to be, to stand alongside the orientation manual and the other resources that you have, remove some of the redundancy, some of the non-policy matter from the policy manual, and also propose a list of policies that this council has never had occasion to act upon, which will seek your guidance on which ones you think should be included and to what end, what policy, what direction you would like that policy to go. So we'll be preparing that as we go through the process. So we talked about the redundancy between this manual and other books and other resources. Another problem is some of the materials don't really guide you in any particular way. The section on meetings was taken basically from the charter. It's just verbatim. You can go to the charter if you want to read that. There's a guide to the Information Technology Department in here. Helpful, but again, not really what is supposed to be here. So our goal is to take this policy manual, create something that both you and others can go to find the information that should be in there. To use our manual as a vehicle for adopting other key policies, as I said, that have not been addressed. To find more appropriate locations for some of the things that really shouldn't be in there. And here's how we set out to do it. First, we've basically finished tearing down the current policy manual, breaking it out, taking out anything that is not really policy material, things that are covered in other resources and don't need to be included there in the orientation binder or in your CML materials. As I said, we're just about there. We're sort of trying to find the best structure for what will follow to make it as easy to use as possible. By way of example, we'll seek your guidance on this question. If you're reading a policy section on meeting procedures, and there's a policy on how meetings get underway, there's a policy on public comment, there's a policy on how public hearings are conducted, there may be a logical gap in there that you're looking at and say, well, it doesn't say anything about quorum, for example. Well, that may be covered somewhere else, so we can do an appendix that has those other sources so you can look and we'll cross-reference. See appendix at page whatever to fill in that gap. If it makes more sense to have it all contained in one place, we'll do that. We'll have options for you as we bring it to a workshop sometime this summer, if summer ever arrives. And then, as I said, we'll be looking for your help in identifying policies that have not been addressed in the past. Many other municipalities have extensive policy manuals. We've looked to those for guidance, and we can bring you examples, again, without guiding the direction of the policy, but say, you have no policy on this, would you like to adopt one, and what would you like it to say? So we bring that to you in a workshop sometime this summer. I would say we'll be done with the sort of draft by the end of June. July and August, sometime we can have a workshop if that fits the council schedule. And into September and October, we'll be ready to bring back what should be a finished manual, obviously in soft form as well as hard form for those who want it, to be approved by the council by resolution. That's kind of the game plan. It's been a long time coming, and we want to make sure it's as useful as it can be for those of you who will still be here and the new council members as well. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
So let me just, for the sake of a conversation starter, as we look forward to these workshops during the summer, a couple of examples. We spent a lot of time recently working on campaign finance, updating, due to a court decision, updating our campaign finance procedures by way of an ordinance, if I remember right.
Correct.
Is that something that would be included in a policy and procedure manual or not?
See, that's one of the options we have, is to include things that are addressed in city ordinances. Are those to be considered policies? In most cases, they probably are not, but to the extent that they cover procedures and how we do things, there certainly can be a section on campaign finance that addresses the procedures and tells you where to find that information.
Right.
It's not going to be a freestanding policy, but it'll say in the
It'll
ordinance.
cross-reference the appropriate ordinance.
Exactly. Yeah, and again, that can be attached verbatim, or a summary can be attached as part of the appendix, so that you can look and see what those procedures generally are.
And another example that typically comes up during these conversations is code of conduct, which we have. Resolution, let's get the right number here, 2006-75, which I know was adopted in concert with Amendment 41 at the time. So we do have that. We just got to make sure everybody's aware of it, right?
That's right. That resolution in 2006 followed on the heels of Amendment 41, which governs ethics and conflicts of interest for elected officials at the local and state level. You may recall that Amendment 41's own text said that any jurisdiction that covers these topics by ordinance or resolution is not bound by Amendment 41. So I was not here at the time, but it was easy to discern that that's what the council did at the time, was adopt a resolution that incorporates by reference sections of the state statutes which established a code of conduct. So we go to the state statute to look for how that code would be applied. That is a policy that the city council has adopted.
Okay. So again, I just meant those to sort of grease the wheels, the mental wheels, so to speak, for council to start thinking about some things that should be included, some things that should not be included, and maybe we should all start thinking about examples and funnel them through council officers, or and again, we'll have one or two workshops, whatever it takes, to hear everybody's input on this.
Yeah, and our expectation in preparing for those workshops would be to provide some examples in advance, so that you'd have time to think about them before
Right.
we came to the workshop, and wouldn't be having to create them from whole cloth. So.
Right. Okay. Comments, questions? No. For those of you watching, we've all been here for a while at the executive session, so it may look like a 13-minute meeting, but we've been at it for a while here prior to this. All right. Great. I guess that's it. So, yeah, we promised a short meeting, and we're gonna deliver on that. All right, Tim. Thank you for the update. We appreciate it. All right, on to reports. I just want to mention the marathon yesterday, the Colfax Marathon. It was once again record-breaking in terms of the number of entrants. 17,990 some, nearly 18,000 people entered that race. 193, I think, charities benefited from it. And it was, once again, a remarkable event, the 10th annual Kaiser Permanente Colfax Marathon. And thanks and congratulations to all the Lakewood residents and businesses who were out yesterday, proving once again the Lakewood fans are the best. Support this marathon better than the cities with whom we compete on a friendly basis, Denver and Aurora. I had an opportunity once again to go down to the starting line. It's really an awe-inspiring experience. It's very early at 5:30 on Sunday morning, but to see that many people in one place, ready to participate in an athletic event and also to raise money for many charities is really fun and rewarding to see. So thank you to all involved. Thank you to our police department for arranging the traffic control, and thank you to all the volunteers, literally thousands that are required to make that event happen. Had the opportunity to visit with a number of them in my own neighborhood. So thank you very much for everyone's involvement. Adam, Karen, anything?
Well, since I get the opportunity, I want to remind members of Wards 3, 4, and 5 to attend our special COPS Community and Council meeting, which will be held 6:30 tomorrow evening here at the community room across the plaza from us. And we're going to have a great program, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Pete, anything?
I think it was said, Mayor. Thank you. No report.
All right. Cindy?
Sure. I just want to echo what you had to say about the Colfax Marathon. And it's surprising when they come through the Glens at mile 15.5 how much energy some of them still have and how early they came through at about 7:30 in the morning at mile marker 15.5. And our own Kathleen Curtis from the Village Roaster came running by and said, "Hey, Cindy," and like she still had the breath to be able to say, "Hey, Cindy," as she ran by. And she was doing the marathon, not the relay.
She
Marathon.
was doing the marathon?
I believe so. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I think only the marathoners and the people who are doing the relay came through our neck of the woods.
Should have mentioned Iber resident Dave Rothenberger, who I waved at as he was coming through the neighborhood. He came. I know he runs it every year. Congratulations, Dave. Scott, anything? Tom?
Thank you. Just one thing that Councilor Harrison left out, and that's the word pizza. Okay, there will be food, pizza from Nicolo's at the COPS Community and Council event tomorrow night, 6:30.
You guys aren't making homemade food? I mean, that's what we do in 1 and 2.
I thought about making my own pizza. Yeah.
Oh, it's homemade. Okay, all right.
Homemade in a commercial kitchen.
Just one other thing, I wanted to just quickly give a kudos to our regional park staff out of Bear Creek Lake Park for getting out ahead of the flooding, the tremendous flooding that's occurred out there with the reservoir backing up. They moved everything out of the way that was not permanently nailed to the floor. So anything that could be moved out of the way of the water was moved out of the way. And so they have saved us quite a bit of money this time. Things like picnic tables, sheds, anything that was not absolutely bolted down, they moved out of the way. So they did a great job at that, all the maintenance guys out at the park. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave, anything? Nope. Remy? Nope. Karen? Shakti? No? Kathy?
I just have one thing. I'm excited to be able to introduce our new IT director, Mark Prey, and he'll come to the next meeting. Remember, next Monday is Memorial Day, so we don't have a council meeting, so we'll bring Mark either the 1st or the 8th, and that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. We're adjourned at 7:23. Thank you.